That is the best intro I've ever heard. You know, I can speak for a lot of the boys in South London that you're on and in the cages from morning till night. Wait. Let me clear this one up. please, let me clear this up. I'm gonna be honest, yeah. This Tesco thing, I was never actually applying for a Tesco job. I see myself as an entertainer, whatever he's doing. That's what I pride myself on. Going to Wycombe was the best decision I made.
Would you consider playing for Nigeria? When you look at the players in those wing positions, your Raheem Sterlings, your Jadon Sanchos, when you watch them, how do you like stack your game up against them?
It's a good one, you know.
I watch him and I think he has a big potential. Physically strong, he has a good touch, can score goals. I see him and I hope he will take one day QPR to the Premier League.
I'm sort of lost for words because it's like, wow, the guy that I've been watching since I was a kid, a real kid. So that one was crazy for me, man.
Hello listeners and welcome back to yet again another episode of the Beautiful Game podcast. As ever, I'm your host Budge, joined by my faithful South Londoners, my fellow co-conspirators Dot and Dej boys. How are we feeling today, man?
What are you saying, Budge, man? I'm excited for this one. Obviously, off record, we were laughing. So, yeah, man, let's get this started, man.
Of course, 100%, man, 100%. How about you, Dej? How are you feeling about this?
Oh, man, ever since this got put in the bag, we've been laughing, we've been happy, we've been smiling, you know, one of South London's finest, man. So, this is going to be
South
sick.
London's you know, when South London links up, it's a different kind of story. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But, do you know what? We usually, on the platform, we always have to give our special guest flowers, innit? This guy is a bit different. I need to dobale. I need to frustrate. because we're really in the greatness here. Do you understand? We're really joined by a very, very special guest. This wizard is currently waving his wand in the championship for QPR. He burst on the scene in 2017-2018 season and has been on a meteoric rise to prominence ever since, breaking ankles, embarrassing in front of their family and friends. He drops a shoulder and sends people to the corner shop for milk and eggs on a regular basis. You understand? Like, this guy needs no introduction, like, especially in South London. Everyone knows who this guy is. But without further ado, we're gonna introduce him. We have the wonder kid, the special talent, the mercurial talent. Eberechi Eze, we welcome to the platform.
Welcome.
South London's finest. What you said?
That is the best intro I've ever heard.
No, Ed, man, thank you for coming onto the platform, man. Obviously, we're massive fans of you, man. You're breaking ankles every weekend, so we look forward to seeing you back on the pitch soon, bro.
100%.
I'm happy to be here, man. This should be good, man.
Yeah, love for coming on, Ebs. You know, South London came out. We put out the question. The people want to ask questions, and everyone came out. This is probably like the biggest traction we've got. After asking the question. Legit. Obviously, there was a few sinister Tottenham fans that were mentioned, but we won't go into that.
We'll ask you off air.
Yeah. 100%. All right. So anyway, man, of course, like we already mentioned, most people will already know about you. But for those that don't, we want to run through your career today and what, you know, how you got to where you are at currently. And speak a bit about your journey, man. So let's kick things off from the beginning. And like, one thing that's clear when you look at your Twitter page, for example, you see like your description, and even in some of the tweets, you can see that your faith is something that is a big thing for you, right?
Yeah.
And of course, my assumption is that goes back to like your upbringing and your family and whatnot. So I guess I wanted to just ask a bit about a bit about that and ask for you to share a bit more about like your faith and family and how that's helped you along your journey so far.
I would say, obviously, I'm a Christian, and I've grown up in a Christian family, so parents will take me to, African churches and all that stuff. So we've been doing that. We've been doing that for a while.
Okay.
Even to this day, my mom's still like, you got me church.
Of course, you've grown up in that sort of environment, so your faith is strong. Your for what my mum put into me, it's not even. I'm trying to put it in a way so you can understand that it's not even. It's more my mum putting it into me, and still it's something that I'll take for me forever. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that's got me through all the trials and tribulations that I've been through. I think just being able to hold strong and be like, listen, I know God's got me here. I know God's going to pull me through. Yeah, that's it's a huge asset to have. Yeah, so
Ebbs, like you've grown up in Greenwich, Southeast London. This is an epicenter of talent. We've seen the likes of Ngakia, West Ham, Reece Nelson, Arsenal, Jadon Sancho, Borussia Dortmund. So what is it about South London that is creating these, off the cuff talents? Because when you watch them play,
it's different.
It's different. They improvise. It's not, what you see in the Premier League, which is like a program style of football. It's much more individualistic, but it also fits into that team harmony.
I think it's hard, because it's like there's cages and people play on the street everywhere. It's not just in South London. So it's hard to even pinpoint where it is, but I know, and I can speak for a lot of the boys in South London, that you're on and in the cages from morning till night. Morning till night, your mum is calling you in.
Them summer holidays, boy.
You know how many times I've been at the cage from 11, banging ball till 6. My dad's calling me like, listen, we gotta go to the African party. We gotta leave now. All of this, and you're thinking like, this is all you want to do. You want to play football all day. So it's like, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly it is, but I know that I've been playing football all my life, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. So I guess that.
Obviously, just to piggyback off of Dej's initial question, do you feel it's that kind of South London banter element? So you feel that, listen, I need to disgrace one of my boys so everyone can laugh about it after the game?
That's facts as well. That's I speak about it with Bright as well. It's like we try our best to not to disrespect. It's never disrespect, but we always try our best
to terrorize.
That's exactly it. You're always trying your best to do something that everyone's speaking about after the session or after the match or whatever. And me and Bright will comment on each other all the time. So I guess that is something that is bred in South London.
And you know what? Just to follow on from Dot's question, Ebbs, is that whole thing about like at the moment it's obviously playful when you're like, yeah, we want to. I want to do something that people are going to remember or talk about after the game and whatnot. Do you feel that there's ever like a time where it's added pressure on you, like where in a game you feel like because you've established yourself as a tricky, skillful player, you almost have to beat a player in a certain way or have to embarrass a player, otherwise it's like, oh, Ebbs hasn't done his standards this game, so it's like it's not a good game. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I think because it's in a professional environment, you can't be caged all the time. Your mindset, you have to be serious. You have to be serious in what you're doing. So I don't see it as much as pressure. I just see it as I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I enjoy doing that to people. I enjoy trying to do skills and trying stuff different and doing what I can. I wouldn't see it as pressure. I just see it as that's just me and enjoying myself.
So, Ebbs, do you almost feel that street element gets coached out of you? Because, you know, as Dad said earlier, like in the Premier League, we see it as so, you know, tactically shrewd and, you know, players stay rigid into their shape. And do you feel like during your career, that kind of street element got taken out of you? Hence why you struggled at a few clubs before you finally made your big breakthrough?
That's a good question, you know. I think it depends, because there's loads of good academy managers who see that and are like, that's something you must take to the end of wherever your career takes you. There's managers that will look at you and be like that, but there's also managers that will see what you're doing and won't appreciate it, and won't maybe not appreciate, but maybe not understand why you play like that, why you take so many touches, why you can pass the ball, why are you taking so many touches. So I think it's for me. I don't know if it was coached out of me, but I know that it was something that wasn't appreciated and understood in some of the places that I was playing at.
Yeah, so Ebbs, obviously to get to where you are today, you know, playing for QPR, you've had to come through a lot of knockbacks, setbacks, you know, being released, you know, by Millwall and on the verge of taking up a part-time job at Tesco. So after all of these rejections...
Guys, wait. Let me clear this one up. please, let me clear this up. I'm going to be honest, yeah. This Tesco thing, I was never actually applying for a Tesco job. I never applied. I never was on the way there. This Tesco thing, I'll tell you where it came from. So I played against Nottingham Forest at home in a stadium. And we got pumped. I think it was like 5-1 or something silly like that, yeah. And this is, that I can honestly say, this is the worst game I've played in my life, by a long shot as well. And we've come in now after the game, and Chris Ramsey, I'm sure you know of him. He came in and he was like, he was going around the room just grilling man. He came to me, he's like, you're lucky you're even here. You were almost working in Tesco. Yes.
And
because of that, who was then taking it and sent it to a newspaper like he could be working in Tesco, and now everyone's running with this thing.
Let's go, boy.
Man to apply for the job.
No, I'm happy you cleared that up, but you know, the point is that you've had to come through setbacks and knockbacks, being released, and as a young player, that can be, you know, disheartening. So for you to come back, was that something innate in you, or did you have that support system around you which said, you know what, Ebbs, come on, you can be a pro footballer?
I think I had both, really. I had people around me, my family around me that have always believed in me, parents driving me up, down the country, everywhere. So they've always had the faith and the belief in me to become a footballer. And obviously seeing them believe in me so much, that instilled a faith in myself that I'm good enough to become what I want to become as long as I work hard and apply myself. And football's hard because it's not just if you work hard enough you'll make it, because you need to be in the hands of the right people. And luckily I got in the hands of the guys at QPR, Paul Hall, Andrew Impey, Chris Ramsey, and they've put me in a good position.
You know what I wanted to ask, Ebbs? If you could, this might be a bit of a tricky one, because it's always difficult to talk about yourself, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to like describe yourself as a player, or like put yourself in a certain, because like you could really play in a number of different positions, right? But if you were like explaining yourself to somebody else, how would you describe yourself as a player? Or what position would you say is your most natural position, if that makes sense?
I would say I'm an attacking midfielder. So wherever that means to that person, I'm sure anywhere across that front four, I enjoy playing, and I see myself as an entertainer. So someone that you can look at and you enjoy the way he controls the ball, the way he touches the ball, whatever he's doing. It's sort of, that's what I pride myself on. I want people to watch me play football and be like, right, this guy is just the way he controls the ball, or just the way he does it. That's what I want people to look at me as. So yeah, entertainer probably.
And you don't feel like there's one in particular that you're more comfortable in, or is it anywhere across that front four?
I say number 10, like
Number 10.
directly behind the striker. That's where I'm most comfortable and most free. But I do enjoy playing. I've had good games playing in all of those positions. So I'm sort of easy playing in any of them.
So obviously, just moving on a bit, I think, how are you guys dealing with this current situation? Obviously, there's no football. Obviously, there's talks to resume football. The championship is kind of, in a midway zone, whether it's going to get, called null and void or it's going to be completed. So mentally, how are you dealing with this? Because I spoke to a FA registered intermediary and they said a lot of players are in a bad way. So just talk to us about, the mental toll it's had on you.
I think it's been crazy hard, man, because as a footballer, you're so used to routine, you're used to doing stuff, having your day planned from 1 hour to the other, and to be in this position now where you literally have to motivate yourself to go out and do your fitness just in case, because we don't know when we're going to be back. So it's tough, and not having anyone. So I feel sorry for people that haven't got brothers and haven't got siblings that they can talk to this stuff about, because you're on your own, you feel isolated, you're lonely, and it's hard to motivate yourself and to take your mind off it. So I can totally understand why people are struggling, man.
Yeah, so Ebbs, there's talks about the season resuming. And I know you're obviously doing your day-to-day training regime, but let's say if the season was, going to start very, very shortly, how long do you think it will take you from this point to reach your full match fitness?
I say it probably takes from this point now, because I've been doing quite a bit, but you can't replicate match fitness. I'll say maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so to get to that level of like, okay, cool, I'm ready to last a full match and not blow up. Probably 2-3 weeks.
Fair play. And just before the pandemic hit and whatnot, Ebbs, obviously you guys were doing quite well. You were sitting comfortably in mid-table. You were on a good run of form. I think you'd won 3 and drawn 2 in your last 5 games. And I think so far this season, you've pretty much featured in every single game. So, like, in terms of the timing, of course, it's frustrating. But do you feel like it will like take a little while to get back to that level of performance that you guys are putting in as a team, and of course for you individually as well?
I hope not. We were enjoying, and the last 5 games I really enjoyed. So I don't think we've hit that type of performance since like the beginning of the season. So it was good to be in that run of form and to be winning games and being comfortable through games. So I don't know. You can never tell. I think we're gonna do everything we can to reach that level of performance, and of course that's put confidence in us to what we're capable of. So hopefully, I'm hoping that we can hit them strides again.
I think before we move on to QPR a little further, I'm just going to bring in a listener question. Literally, I just got it right now, and it's from @NeilHarmon57, and he said, "I'm writing a book about the season with Wycombe Wanderers. Could Eberechi tell us what playing for the club meant to him and how it shaped his future career?"
I would say going to Wycombe was the best decision I made. Because if not for that, I don't think the manager at QPR at the time would have took to me as much as he did. So I was with him before I went on loan, and he wasn't really trying to play me. Me and him wasn't really seeing the same thing. So luckily, I think me going on loan there, I've given myself a platform to show what I'm capable of, and of course, me doing it in a professional stage, he now has to look. So as a Wycombe, that's probably the best thing that's happened.
Yeah, so you mentioned the managers that you obviously played under, Ian Holloway, Steve McClaren. Yeah. I want to dial into Steve McClaren. When you speak to people inside of the trade, they say this man's probably one of the best coaches around in terms of putting on sessions and enjoying the sessions, but maybe as a manager, that's where he comes on stock. So how was it like working under Steve McClaren?
I loved working under him still, because I think just the light in which he saw me in and the belief he put in me.
Giving you that number 10 shirt.
Like, honestly, when I received it, I was thinking, right, this guy must really feel. For me to get to the number 10 shirt. This is going to be that was going to be my first actual season playing. So I was just, as of him, in terms of how he managed me, the sessions, you cannot fault him.
So what is it in terms of these sessions? Because you hear top elite players come out and say, Steve McClaren, probably the best coach I've worked under. So what is it about it?
I think the way the sessions are set out and the way he is throughout the sessions, he makes you want to work. He makes you want to work hard, and you're, throughout the whole session, you'll be motivated to do what he's asking you to do. And I think that's the difference between like a great manager and a good manager. A manager that can look at you and talk to you in a way and it makes you want to work for him. It's a whole different ballgame.
You know what I wanted to ask, Ebbs? So what often happens is us as fans and general people that watch the game often find it very, very difficult to strike the balance between footballers as professionals and footballers as individuals, right? Now, so you're still quite young, and you've had to leave home where your family are and whatnot and move somewhere completely different. Okay, yeah. So you're not really having much opportunity to spend as much time as you would like to with family and so on and so forth. And of course, at the club, you've got other fellow young players like Mide Shopido and Bright Osayi-Samuel and that kind of thing, right? How important is it to have players that are around your age group that get and understand you and whatnot when you're playing for a team and you're having to like be so distant and so far from family and so on, that kind of thing?
I think so. As of QPR, I've fallen in love with this QPR because I go into training and I'm happy to go to training. Not just because of the young players, but everything about the club. But for me, having Bright, Mide, Ilyas, Ozzy, Nico, all these young guys at the club, it makes you almost, you're not worried about going in. There's no pressure to go in. Now you're enjoying what you're doing. Bright, I've obviously known him since year 7 because he went Woolwich Poly. So we've been boys for time. So for me to see him at the club and I'm working, this is my job and I'm working with my boy, that's a whole different ball game. So no pressure at all. Just strictly enjoyment.
Yeah, so you mentioned the young players that you're playing around. So I'm going to counter that and talk about the experienced players. Angel Rangel, he's had Premier League experience at the Premier League. Jeff Cameron playing for Stoke. Mark Pugh playing for Bournemouth. How are these experienced players with you? Did they sort of like put you under their wing and say, do this, don't do that? Or did they just say, you know what, do your stuff and we've got you covered?
It's a bit of both, to be fair. They're experienced guys, so they've been through it. They've seen a lot of stuff, so they do guide us on what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, and it's more correcting us when we go off straight because they don't want to control us and tell us to do this and we're like robots. But they do allow us to be free, and they want us to be free. They want us to express ourselves and do what we want to do. But at the same time, they want us to understand what's right and what's wrong and what we should be doing. So, no, they're great leaders.
I recall a game in February against Stoke. You guys were 2-0 down. And after the game, I messaged someone very senior at your club and I said, wow, what a comeback. And the reply was, you know what happened? Eberechi happened. So I was like, okay, cool. So, I just want to say, when you get praise like that, how do you stay grounded? Because again, we spoke to Les Ferdinand on this podcast, and he said you have the ability to be the best player he's ever seen. So how do you stay grounded when you hear praise like that?
I think it's just something that's instilled in me because of what I've been through and what I've seen. My parents, my family ain't gonna allow me to become any of that. So there's no point even trying. I think the things that I've gone through, the things that I've seen, I think it's put me in a position where I look at myself and I want to be a humble person. I want to be as cool as possible because I don't want to be seen in that light of being a different person or any of that. So it's quite easy for me. I don't find it hard being humble at all.
And you know, I think it was recent. It was this season where you reached a milestone of 100 appearances for QPR, right? In all competitions. Yeah. Like, do milestones and things like that like play on your mind? Like, do you like how do you see and perceive stuff like that? Like, do you have like, I don't know, targets that you set yourself? So for example, a certain amount of games that you want to play a season, of course, a certain number of goals and assists that you want to contribute to, and that kind of thing. Does that ever play in your psyche?
I think it's always good to set yourself like targets, like goals you want to hit and assists and stuff like that, because it aligns your work. You know what you're working towards, you know what you're striving for. But in terms of it affecting my mindset, or I try to, if I set a target, I set my target and I work towards it. I don't focus on what it is or all the other stuff that's coming with it. So that the 100 appearances, I didn't even know that was going to be my 100th appearance. It was only when I saw it, so it was a surprise. So I prefer to see it like that than for me to be counting 94 or 95. Nah, I'd rather just focus on what I'm doing, and when all that type of stuff comes, it comes.
Yeah, so Ebby, you know, you've had a terrific season so far. You know, 12 goals, 8 assists in the league. So that's obviously courted the attention of international duties. So you've been called up to the England under-21s. You made your debut, coming on in the 81st minute, replacing Phil Foden. But there's a lot of murmurs, obviously, because you're also of Nigerian descent. Yeah. So a question from Scams is, would you consider playing for Nigeria?
Yeah, of course. That's why I don't want to make any decision on my international dream until I feel like it's right. I don't want to make a rush decision. As much as it's a privilege to play for either, it'll be a great honour to play for both.
So have you been contacted by maybe like the Nigerian FA to assess your eligibility and maybe your willingness? Yeah, okay. So
I spoke to them, but again, it's sort of, they understand where I'm at, and I'm just enjoying my football right now. I don't want any added pressure onto my mindset, onto anything. I don't want to be focused on the wrong things. I want to focus on what has got me to this position, continue doing it, and wherever it takes me, it takes me.
You know what? I just had a light bulb moment as Dej asked this question. But how were your parents when it came to supporting you in your football journey? Yeah. Because, come on, we all have Nigerian parents. And they're like, listen, put your education first. So how was it juggling the two?
To be honest, my parents were like, they were just as serious about education as football for me. And so, for example, I left John Rowan in year 9 to go to, it was Coombe Boys School, which was the school that's associated with Fulham. So I'll be doing like 2 lessons at Coombe Boys School, going and training the rest of the day, and coming back to school and training, doing education. So my mum allowed me, and she was so for me going to that type of school, whereas I can imagine another parent may not have been. So my parents, not just my mum, my dad as well, they've been on focus on football, focus on education, and try your best in both, whatever comes.
Yeah, so just, harping back to the England and Nigeria question, when you look at the players in those wing positions, your Raheem Sterlings, your Jadon Sanchos, when you watch them, how do you stack your game up against them?
It's a good one, you know. It's a bit of a heavy one. You look at what they're doing, and you have to appreciate what they're doing, because it takes a lot to get to where they are. And I try my best not to compare myself to any other player. I want to do what I'm good at, do what I do, and whatever level that propels me to, I have the belief in myself that will get me to the top. So I try my best not to even, as you said, stack myself up against any of these men, because they're on their thing. And they're really doing their thing. And my aim is to get to those heights as well.
So it's sort of like a real recognized real. I see you, you're doing your thing, but I'm going to do my thing.
That's exactly it, man. Exactly. Appreciate them, man, but I've got to sit here and appreciate them for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I've got to do my thing.
I love that mentality, bro.
100%. There's a name that I want to mention now, right? Adel Taarabt, right? Yeah. So this is a guy. He's a man. Yeah, you know when they say the streets won't forget. He's one of them, man. Yeah. No matter, even
Ballon d'Or for ends.
Honestly, even though the main TV outlets or whatever, they might not give him that the recognition and the accolades that he deserves and whatnot. But us, man, know Adel Taarabt. Man know about Adel Taarabt, right? So obviously he recently came out, QPR legend. He recently came out and he was speaking highly of you, and he was sharing advice and speaking about like how you just need to focus on football and keep working and that kind of thing. So obviously we've spoken about receiving praise and whatnot from different people and trying to stay humble and just keep focused and whatnot. But what I wanted to ask is like, does it add an extra bit on the praise or the advice when you hear it from someone like that who gets you, who plays in a similar style, who understands do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Does it add a bit extra to it?
That one, especially that, because I've been watching me and my older brother especially, we've sat down before the championship was even something that you would type in and watch. Me and my brother were sitting there watching Adel Taarabt. My brother showed him to me first time. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? What the hell is he doing to people in this league? This is what I was thinking. So as I'm seeing this stuff from him, I'm sort of lost for words, because it's like, wow, it's the guy that man's been watching since I was a kid, a real kid. So that one was crazy for me, man.
I think I'm going to bring in another listener question, and this is from Marineology. And he says, does Eberechi look to players like Dele Alli, who made the jump from the lower league to the Premier League and done so well, for inspiration?
Yeah, of course. I think he's shown that it's possible that you can go from low league and fit right in and even become more than what people expected you to be. So, of course, when you look at guys like that, again, just like Raheem, just like Sancho, all of these, man, you appreciate what they've done, man, and you look at them, and it's a round of applause thing, because they've actually done it. They've really done it.
Yeah, so Ebbs, I want to move forward to this season. You know, your manager, Mark Warburton, for me, he's a great manager with young players. You know, I saw him at Nottingham Forest, you know, putting the youngsters in, not being afraid. We've seen him at Brentford, Rangers as well. Yeah, so how much of an influence has he been on you? Because from the outside looking in, it's like he's building the team around you and saying, you know, give the ball to Eze. He's our midfield maestro. He's going to make the magic happen. He's going to penetrate the lines and score. So how is it working with him?
Yeah, he doesn't quite say that in the change room. No, but he's been good. He's good, man. Again, he's another one he's coming and I feel like he appreciates what I bring to a team, and I wouldn't say he doesn't fit the team around me, because again, there's good players in this team. Bright. I'm hearing a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the change room is how we can get Bright 1v1.
Okay.
So it's good to have someone that appreciates you and understands what you're capable of doing and willing to allow you to have a platform to play.
Yeah, so Ebbs, I want to just, dial into some of the games that you've played in this season.
Yeah.
We've seen you've been twisting up, man, breaking ankles, snapping knees. Like, there was one game in particular against Hull. I think you won like 2 penalties. You ran from like the outside of your box, ran into the box, they took you out. The second one, you were in a cul-de-sac. You're thinking, you know what, there's no way he's going to get through. In the cul-de-sac, then you won another penalty, you step up, you score both of the penalties. Like, when you're playing, what are you thinking? Because from the outside looking in again, it looks like the game is just played at your own tempo. Like, I'm the landlord of this park,
I'm the landlord.
I said landlord. Come on.
Typical Nigerian mentality.
Yeah, so like, what's going on in your head?
You better do it. With that one, that whole game, I was just, and this is how I try to play as much as I can, I play to enjoy myself, not as much as I want to win. Of course, I want to win. I want to score, I want to do all of this, but I must enjoy what I'm doing. And it's not really a matter of me thinking of what I want to do or how I want to do it. I'm just doing what feels right at the time. So nothing really going through I can't tell you what's going through my I'm just doing what feels right.
Ebbs, how important has Chris Ramsey been for you? Because, he's the one of the directors at the club. So how important has he been? Because for me, he seems like someone that's great with young players.
Yeah, it's Chris Ramsey, Paul Hall, Andrew Impey. Those three. What they've done, not just with me, but with you guys, need to see some of the academy players that they've got. It's ridiculous, ridiculous. So I hold them in the highest regard, because without them, I know I wouldn't be where I am today. So I appreciate everything that they've done for me. But honestly, they need the recognition they deserve for not just what they've done with me and other players that are in the first team now, but the players that are in the 23s, in the 18s. I'm telling you now, give it a couple of years. You guys will see some of the stuff that they've been working with, and they've been seeing it from now. It's going to come out in 2 years. So honestly, they deserve the highest praise.
You know, another question I wanted to ask you, Ebbs, was if nerves ever are a factor for you, because the way that you play, like we've been talking about, it's like it's so effortless. Like you seem so calm on the ball, and usually when you look at a younger player, you can often tell, like, if they've not played many games by some of the decisions that they make or whatever, or they seem a bit like, the occasion's getting to them. You see what I mean? And obviously, more experienced players, often it's like, it's like my first rodeo. I've been there, I've done it. You know what I mean? And you give off that air. So from the outside looking in, it's like, this guy doesn't have any nerves. But I wanted to ask if that's if it's the opposite.
It's not nerves. I don't get nervous. Everyone has nerves in them, in the sense of, before you go to a game, you're feeling a certain type of way. You know that people are coming to watch. Everyone feels that. I think it's just how you deal with it and how you allow it to affect what you do and the decision that you make. I try my best to use these nerves as sort of fuel to do what I want to do. So don't allow your nerves to stop you from doing it. Allow your nerves to force you to do the trick that you wouldn't necessarily do, or the trick that you're not supposed to do, but you do it anyway. That's how I see nerves. I use it as a fuel for myself.
Yeah, so when I look at the season, obviously Nakhi Wells was a massive part of QPR before obviously he, went to Bristol City. You two seem to have like a telepathic relationship. I think a classic example is the game against Cardiff, where you just forked one out like a diag, then he managed to stick his head on it. Like, how big of a miss has he been to the team? And how was that initial period after he left? Because I think that sort of coincided with a few odd results.
Not even just on the pitch, but as a person, that's like I've got a brother in him because of just how he is and how our relationship grew with him being at the club. That's a real life brother. And on the pitch, he's obviously a mad goal scorer, so you're always gonna miss that. Of course we've got players in the team who score goals and everything, but I think Nakhi brought something that it's hard to find. It's hard to find a natural goal scorer like him that is just on the end of everything. So he's greatly missed.
Do you ever have, games where nothing is coming off? So you try to beat a man, you try to snap an ankle and it's not working. How do you respond to that? Do you just start going into your shell? Do you play it simple? Do you rebuild your confidence, or do you just keep trying until it finally comes off?
I think so. This happened against Blackburn. Blackburn is away from home. The fullback was giving me everything. I couldn't believe it. At the time, I was thinking, who is this? Because I've never seen this guy before, and I hadn't experienced this before. He was beating me in the air. He was getting in behind me. He was doing everything on the ball. I couldn't get past him. But last season, I probably would have went into my shell and just want to go ahead, pass it off or whatever. But I've learned that it takes one moment of magic, one moment for you to try something that comes off, and that's a goal. So I think just keep trying. That's my mindset.
Because how are you going to make this adjustment? Because you're going to be a player that teams are now going to say, look, this guy's the best player on the pitch. We need to man mark him. How do you overcome that? Especially you've got aspirations to play in the Premier League. You've made that clear. We all know that. So how are you going to adapt to that? Because teams are going to come with some very robust tactics.
100. Yeah.
I think as much as myself, so I have to be clever in the way I work to get on the ball and how I affect the game. Because you don't just affect as much as I want to affect the game on the ball, you can affect the game in other ways. So I think it's me just growing and becoming more intelligent in how I play and how I can receive the ball, what spaces I can receive the ball. I think it's more to do with you growing and becoming more mature in the way you play.
Yeah, so when I look at the championship, I love it. I always tell the boys, I always send your clips to them and say, look at Eze twisting man up.
The wave.
Yeah, but it's like a Jekyll and Hyde. What I love about it, 1 week you beat Leeds at home 1-0. The next week you can lose 4-2 at Barnsley. So explain to us how it is playing, in the championship.
The championship is mad because, as you said, when I say anyone can beat anyone, it's not like the Prem where Liverpool go to the bottom of the league. You know what's happening. You don't know how, but you know it's happening. In the champ, anybody can. If it's not a team's day, Leeds can get smoked. West Brom can get smoked. Anyone can get smoked in that league. So it's crazy. It's entertaining as well, man. It's fun to play in. So no, it's good.
You had an interview on Sky Sports News, and Graeme Souness was really hailing you, saying that he's just seen some of your clips and he cannot believe that you're not playing in the Premier League. Whatever you think of Graeme Souness, he is a midfield great,
Yeah.
When you hear praise like that again from a legend in football, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, that was a bit surreal because I almost didn't expect it from him.
Okay.
Your phone went off as well. Your phone went off as well.
I was hoping you don't want to talk about that. That was weird, man, because you're not expecting that from him. You're not expecting those type of things for him to be saying. So it was just, I was sitting there just so shocked that he was even talking to me in that way. And it's good though. It's a good, again, confidence boost for yourself just to know that it's not just you that think this, but other people think this as well.
And Ebbs, another bit of an introspective question. Again, it might be a bit of a difficult one to answer, but if you could pinpoint one area of your game which you feel needs attention, or you feel like you could really improve on, what would that be?
I would say my my understanding of how to get on the ball. So I obviously like to get the ball to feet, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier now because I can sort of find space to get the ball to feet, and I don't really mind having a player on me. But I feel like something I need to learn is how to get the ball in behind, the timing of runs, the way, not just to get myself in on goal, but someone else in. I think movement off the ball is something that I can definitely work on.
Yeah, you seem to have a very elite temperament. I like the way you study your own game, and you're very interested in how to improve. But what I wanted to ask is, when we went to your Harlington training base to meet Les Ferdinand, obviously we done a podcast with him, and he confirmed to us that Crystal Palace made some serious inquiries in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Was this move ever close to happening? Was it one of those ones where he said, you know what, Ebbs, you know, you got to be on standby, something might come off? Or was it just small, you know, inquiries?
I think it was just small inquiries. I don't think it was ever anything that was going to happen. I don't really know too much about it because they must have had a conversation or whatever. But from what it sounded like they were just talking and seeing whatever it was.
Yeah, so obviously you've got aspirations of playing in the Premier League, and that can happen this season, you know, with QPR as well, because you're only, 6 points off the playoffs and you've got some favourable games. When you look at the Premier League and you see the teams there, how do you think your game marries up to the competition?
I think to play in that league, you have to be comfortable in whatever it is you're doing and whatever it is your asset is. So I pride myself in being able to run with the ball and control and manipulate the ball. So that's something I think that I could take there and it will serve me well. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it's like. I don't know how it is that I'm going to get there or when even, but God willing I get there and we'll see what it does.
Another listener's question is, which coaches had the biggest influence in your career?
Yeah, Paul Hall, Chris Ramsey, and Andrew Impey. They're the ones that have put me in. They've literally grabbed me and put me into this position that I'm in now. So grateful to them.
Yeah, so Ebere, when you look at South London as a whole, there's a lot of aspiring young footballers that want to be the next Eberechi Eze. So what advice would you give to someone that's, maybe 8, 9, 10 that wants to go into the program and might go through the knockbacks and setbacks that you've had to go through throughout your career, but you've still made it through the other side?
I would say always believe in yourself and don't allow your confidence to be knocked by external factors. You need to your belief system in yourself has to be as strong as possible. You need to go into each game knowing that you're comfortable doing whatever it is you're good at doing and no one's going to stop you from doing that. And as long as you've got that belief in yourself, it will take you to wherever the height is that you can get to.
Definitely. This question is from Jay Footy, God Save the Kick. Do you think you'll get a call up to the Euros next summer?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Of course, it'll be a great honour, a great privilege to even hear those words. But again, on the international front, I'm just I wouldn't even want to make any decision in any type of way. I just want to focus on what's going on now, man. And that's it.
Yeah, so another question is, so what's your next plans, footballing wise for the next 12 to 18 months?
I don't really have a plan. I have goals and targets that I want to hit, but I think it's more just me applying myself every day, and the belief that I have in myself, the backing that I have in myself. I believe I can reach that height of football. That's what I wanna get to. I wanna get to the Champions League, World Cup. I wanna be playing all of this, and not just competing. I wanna be really in winning Champions League. That's my aim. That's my goal. So wherever my talent and wherever my assets take me, that's where it is.
Ebbs, we've kind of touched on this question, but I just want to go into it with a bit more detail. And this one's from @Pelzik. He's a big fan of you. He's been harping on about you for years. He said, would love to know why, in his opinion, why he was let go by a few clubs. Does he feel that players in his position were better? Was he underperforming by his own standards?
Very good question as well. I was probably underperforming. I say other than Mill, everywhere else I was underperforming. Players were performing better than me, and it's hard because for you to strive and for you to see success in wherever you are, there's a lot of things that you have to take into account and have to be there. So in all of those places, I found it difficult, very difficult. So underperforming was something that would happen regularly because I wasn't comfortable in where I was, the position I was playing, or whatever I was doing. The information the manager was giving me. There's loads of different factors as to why I got released and why I wasn't performing at the level I should have been. Millwall was obviously a different story because of their whole style of play and whatever. So yeah, no, definitely I would say underperforming.
Yeah, play. And obviously you spoke a bit about John Roan, Ebbs. Have you had a chance to go back to your school and speak to some of the kids back there, or is it something that you would be interested in doing at some point?
Yeah, definitely something I want to do. I've been back, and maybe not in the last year or so, which isn't too good, but I think that's something I would want to do just to see what's happening there and to sort of shed light on what's come from John Roan.
Yeah, so when we look at your stats, 12 goals for the season, 8 assists. Before the season, do you set any sort of targets that I want to get this amount of goals, this amount of assists, or do you just sort of freewheel it? And if you've set the targets, have you beaten them now?
So initially, at the start of the season, my target was just to get double digits in both areas, so goals and assists.
Okay.
Obviously, I haven't completed my target, but at the same time, I don't put pressure on myself to reach those targets. I just want to enjoy what I'm doing, work as hard as I can to achieve those goals, but it's never pressure because, as I said, with last season, the pressure I was putting on myself to score goals and to get assists, it wasn't healthy and it wasn't helping my performance at all. So just to not put pressure on me, I set my target, I work as hard as I can to reach them, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, so another question that we've gone through this podcast without mentioning, the QPR fans. Obviously, you're the talisman. They're right behind you. They support you. So what's a message that you'll give to them with the season likely to resume? How do you think they've taken towards you? And how do you feel in that tight, congested pitch at Loftus Road? How do you feel they support?
I want to say thank you for the support that they've shown this season in not just me, but all the other young boys that are in the team as well. They probably don't realise how important it is for them, for how important their support is to us and what it actually means to us. They probably think that it just goes in one ear out the other, but honestly, it hits you and you feel like a family. It's not just you're doing your job. You feel like you're a family working together, which is really important.
Last one from me. Obviously, when we put out the tweet saying that we're going to have you on the podcast, so many people just said, you're an absolute baller. Literally. Everyone said that. So, again, you're seen as one of the best players in the championship, if not the best player in the championship. What does the future lie for you, bro?
I don't want to put any limitations on myself or even say that this is where I'm going to be or anything like that. As I said, in terms of my ambitions, I want to be at the top the top. So I'm gonna work as hard as I can and apply myself in any which way possible in order to reach that. And I'm not gonna stop till I get there.
100%, man.
Bro.
I think there's no better way to sign off than
Quality.
You heard it from the man himself, man.
Quality. That was
sorry,
that
Tottenham
insight,
fans.
Yeah.
All of them came out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is that it's just gonna be a joy to watch your career go from strength to
100%.
strength, because in my opinion, you're going straight to the top. You just have to continue to apply yourself.
That's it, man.
Listen to your coaches, listen to your parents. Then I think the sky's the limit for you, man.
I appreciate it, man. And honestly, you guys, love what you guys are doing, man, because this is big, and I'm wishing you, man, all the best. Honestly, I appreciate you, man, for real.
Love, man.
Bro.
100%.
Love.
And we need to, whenever we get a chance, man, we need to do it again, man. We need to chop it up.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's
when you're in the Champions League, we'll get the first interview. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
You've agreed to it. You've agreed to it. I'm going to get on to you.
100%, man. Anyway, look, viewers, listeners, I'm sure you guys enjoyed this one. It was a really, really good episode, man. Especially our fellow South Londoners. I know you guys will certainly enjoy it. Just a reminder before we sign out that you can watch all of our content now on YouTube. It's the Beautiful Game Podcast TV. And if you are listening on other platforms, you can listen to our episodes on Spotify, SoundCloud, and on Apple Podcasts as well. And if you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, please make sure you leave a 5-star review. Your engagement goes a long way to helping us build the platform. If you're not yet following us on Twitter, it's at @podcast_TBG. And Sure outs.
That drew me out loud.
You can also follow us on Instagram at @pod_TBG. Have I forgotten anything before we sign out?
Bro. We're good.
Okay,
Five star.
It's been
5-star content,
honestly.
5-star guest, 5-star performance, everything 5-star.
5-star ankle breaker.
5-star. Hey, 100%, man.
Over and out.
So, guys, until the next episode, over and out.